your lipstick. Oh, I really did hope we'd seen the last of you this time, Emma. Can you manage to sign here?
I meant to.
Thieving again, I suppose, to get the money.
Please.
Show me. How long did you hold out before you started again?
A few days.
So how long have you been without?
Since I were arrested. Please.
All right, well, the doctor will see you now. Yeah.
You have the advantage of me, Sir Charles. As chairman of the Board of Visitors, you've known my prison far longer than I have. And as a doctor, you have professional knowledge of drug addiction, which I haven't.
Believe me, dear Governor, I would not try to blind you with science.
I can't help feeling there's something wrong with a society that send their drug addicts to jail. We're not properly equipped to help, you know.
What alternative is there? They're not here because they're addicts. They're here because they've broken the law. Stolen, cheated. They must be dealt with by the law.
Yes, it's quite true. Prison punishes them for their crime. But what about our duty to rehabilitate them?
You do the best you can.
We take them off heroin and put them on fiseptone, which is simply a heroin substitute. We blanket them with tranquilizers and sleeping pills, just damping down the symptoms.
Now, I think you do better than you know, Madam Governor. I've been concerned with the problem of addiction for most of my professional life. Discipline is what the addict needs. They need a firm hand. Welcome it, in fact. They can be provided far better in a prison hospital than in some permissive clinic outside.
I wish I could believe you were right. Do you want to start on your rounds now?
Just the hospital. The cobbler to his last, you know.
Now, Flower, into bed with you.
Then you can have your pie. Let's see. Yeah, come on. That's it. Down the tunnel. That's the idea. Come on, we'll soon settle the collywobbles. Yeah. That's it. We'll lie back now. And if you feel the horrors coming on again, just you call me. There's lots more we can do to help you.
Please, can I see the governor?
Well, she's a busy woman, Flower, you know that. I'll ask the assistant governor of this wing.
I think you know Miss Bates, the assistant governor of this wing.
Yes, indeed. How do you do, Miss Bates?
What do they mean, chairman of the Board of Visitors?
He's an establishment clerk, voluntary, set up by the Home Office as a safety valve. If we've got any complaints, he's supposed to look into it.
Does he?
Oh, yeah, he's got to, hasn't he? Had quite a lot of fun with that comedian from time to time.
Well, ladies, any complaints?
No, thank you, Sir Charles, sir. Me and the girls offer our humble duties, sir. And we'd like to say that this is the nicest nick we've ever been with, sir.
What's all that about? You know Magda Selby?
I'm afraid I do. She's made my life a misery in the past. Official complaints, barrackroom legalities. She is the worst kind of addict. She won't help herself, and she won't let anyone else help her. She's been in and out of here like the tide.
Yes, I've seen her report. Have you ever been into her background?
No.
Vicious father who beat her until her late teens. She ran away and worked her way up to being head bar at a large store. Then she had the rotten luck to marry a man who took up where her father had left off. I wonder where I would have ended up.
Not on heroin, I'm sure.
Oh, dear. Someone's not glad to be back. When did you clock in?
Just now.
I beat you to it by day. You're not surprised, are you? I told you wouldn't be out of here for long.
He's not that. He's letting people down, folk who tried to help.
Tried to help? Who? You can't mean this lot in here.
Mrs. Boswell was ever so good to me. She took an interest.
Listen, little milkmaid, nobody's interested in addicts, not in here.
It's not true.
5 for the shakes, tranks for the horrors, chloral to knock you out for the night. They keep you doped up to the eyeballs for a quiet life till they can tip you out on the streets again.
No, Mrs. Boswell does care.
It's not heroin you're hooked on, love. It's bromide, the official kind. Anything I can do?
Thank you.
You seen everything you wanted, Charles?
Thank you. Doesn't change much.
No.
Excuse me, madam.
Yes, Mary.
Emma Tapson is asking for you.
Not Emma back again.
Yes, I'm afraid so. She's been told you're busy, but if you could spare a few moments.
No, of course. Thank you.
A failure.
Aren't they all one's failures in this wing, Sir Charles? I really thought I had a chance with Emma.
No, what put this one onto heroin?
Well, it doesn't really matter, does it? What matters is that we haven't got her off it.
Yes, but you can't blame yourself for that.
This is the third time that she's been sentenced since I became governor. I really thought I had a chance with her. I feel I must see her. Sir Charles, do you mind finding your own way out?
Oh, of course.
Miss Batley, would you show Sir Charles down?
Thank you.
I tried ever so hard.
I know you did.
I was all right when they come up. I was it was after.
What happened at the riding school?
They give another girl the horses. They had me mucking out the stables.
I see.
Don't give me a bad job, Mrs. Boswell. Please don't. You said I had to want to be cured. I do, word of honour. I'm so frightened of what it's doing to me. Help me, please.
Sister. I'll help you, Emma. We all will.
Dear, oh dear, I think we need another drop of fire, don't we? It's all right, Governor. You leave it to me. All right, my dear. It's all right.
There must be a better way. I refuse to accept there's nothing else we can do.
Well, it's not really my province, madam, but things are a lot better than they were. Even in my time as chief officer, they've gone a long way in dealing with addicts.
Not far enough, Mrs. Armitage.
You should have seen them before we had the heroin substitute and the tranquilizers.
All they do is to control the symptoms while they're here.
We're not a clinic, madam. It's not our job. We do the best with what we've got. The discharge dockets.
Thank you, Mrs. Armitage. Do you know where Dr. Mays is at the moment?
We'll be holding a surgery in the hospital, madam.
I wonder if I'll ever acquire your mastery of the timetable, Mrs. Armitage.
Gone through the years, madam.
Governor here. Dr. Mays there. Peter, do you feel like a pub lunch?
Right.
Thank you, Peter. I don't know what it is, but my mind works better outside.
No, it's a well-known phenomenon. It's known as institutionalized thinking. Yes. As a matter of fact, I suffer from it myself. Indeed, you've just shown me that.
Oh.
By asking me a simple question, isn't there a better way? You see, because what we're doing now is better than what we used to do, my mind had stopped working, didn't it? As a matter of fact, I feel rather ashamed of myself. I'm beginning to fossilize.
Oh, rubbish, Peter. A senior medical officer has enough to do without having to sit down and rethink the system.
All the same, you see, there might be a better way.
Why, are there been new developments?
Well, it might be totally wrong for a prison situation, but... There's a young friend of mine called Ormond. He's at St. Michael's. Now, he's good. He's very good. He runs a small addiction clinic, and he's been having a lot of success with group therapy. Do you know what that is?
Yes, that's where a group of people get together and discuss their illness. Sort of psychological approach.
Right, because according to Ormond, the whole problem is psychological. And that's why it mightn't be suitable for us.
I'd like to meet him.
Well, I'll fix it. What have we got to lose?
You see, what people overlook about addicts, and what we've learned at St. Michael's... By the way, Mrs. Boswell, I must thank you for a fabulous dinner. I'm afraid I've been so busy talking.
I'd rather hear you talk about your work.
Yes, come on, John, you've done the social bit. Now get on with it.
You see, primarily, the addict's dependence isn't physiological. By replacing the heroin with Fiseptone, gradually tapering them down to 5 mils a day, we can stabilise them physically. Any attendant anxiety we can treat with Librium or Largactil.
But that's simply substituting one drug for another.
Exactly. Their problem is psychological dependence. You see, broadly speaking, addicts are people who feel inadequate and isolated for one reason or another. Heroin, for a while, removes those feelings of inadequacy.
And what we're doing at Stone Park is to take them off the heroin, but to send them out with the same problems they came in with, so they go back to it.
That's what we all used to do, and that's where group therapy comes in. Forces them to admit their inadequacy, face it out in the open. And it breaks down their isolation.
You mean like Alcoholics Anonymous?
By making them talk about it, discuss each other, even attack each other. An addict can fool us. It can't fool another addict. They know all the lies and the dodges and the evasions that they use to blind themselves and us. In a group session, they can't get away with it. They have to face reality. And once they do that, they're starting to win.
But this would mean regular meetings.
Every day for 90 minutes, supervised by Peter or other staff.
Peter, have you got the time?
I'll make the time.
It also means taking them off all drugs. No Phyceptone, no sleeping draughts, no tranquilizers. Absolutely vital. They must know they're standing on their own 2 feet. No crutches.
Does this really work?
Well, you must know what you're getting into. It's hard, bruising graft. I'm not claiming miracles. But yes, it does work.
I would have thought that if I could have relied on anyone's support, it would have been yours.
I'm sorry, Governor. If I thought it had a ghost of a chance, but it just won't work, not in prison.
Give me one good reason why.
That kind of therapy depends on free will. You can do anything you want to do, and that includes kicking heroin. But what happens to free will in prison?
But these women are already imprisoned by their addiction. Stone walls are meaningless compared to that.
I've worked with male addicts at Windhill, and I know the type. They just wouldn't cooperate. And if they did, it would only be for the chance it would give them to disrupt prison discipline. A 90-minute yelling session every day. That's all you'd need to bring this place down around your ears.
I think I could rely on my officers to see that that didn't happen.
Could you? Have you considered how they might feel about it? How much extra work there'd be supervising the thing?
I haven't got that far. I'm sure given the goodwill of the staff, things could be worked out.
But would you have the goodwill of the staff? Don't you think you ought to find out?
Fetch Sister Baxter. Have you had your fight today?
It's no good to me. It's here, it's inside of here.
You need some tranks. They're what you need to put you right. She needs a tranquilizer.
Now then, Poppy Face, what's all this? I thought we were getting along famous. Here, now what are we trying to be, a pavement artist? Here, drink this.
What is it?
It's a tranquilizer as prescribed by Dr. Madry.
It's no good to me. None of that's
Now,
no good
you
to
just
me.
let me be the best judge of that. Drink it up now. I'll get Dr. Mays to come and see you. There we go. Come on now, into bed.
Oh, God.
Come on.
I don't want my bed. My head goes round and round. I want to sleep. Can't you give me none of that stuff that makes me go to sleep?
No, during the day, dear. You know that.
Oh, please, make me sleep. Let me go to sleep.
Now, all in good time, my dear. All in good time. You be a good girl. Lie still, and the doctor will come and look at you.
All right if I stay with her? You're trying to fight it, aren't you?
It's like the devil's in the Bible. The more you try to cast them out, the more they torment you.
That's what the stuff's for, to damp them down, but it can't do it if you won't let it.
I don't want to be like this. Stuff full of muck, like a thing you got to keep quiet. I want to be well, like normal folk. I know I'm going to come straight out of here and go straight back onto that poison. I don't want to. I don't want to.
You can't beat it, Emma. I used to try. We're hooked. Once you admit that, it gets better. You take your fine, you take your tranks, and you keep your head down and look forward to that first big flash when you get out.
No, I won't do that. I won't. I want to be decent.
You'll never be decent again, dearie. None of us. Straight people are scared of us. Can't you see that? We're something that might happen to them and they don't like it.
But there must be someone who can help me.
There's no one. We're outside the rules. We live from fix to fix, knowing that each one could be the last. And then out for good. Look, at least we know what we want and we know how to get it. Now, how many people can say that? And it doesn't last that long.
No, I couldn't recommend it, madam. Really, I couldn't.
Why not, Mrs. Armitage?
Well, we're overstretched as it is. Supervising a scheme like this would mean a big extra workload for everyone. Now, the whole idea will be very unpopular.
They will be giving sick people vital help.
With all due respect, madam, that is a matter of opinion. No drugs or medicines, you say? Our staff would find it very difficult to see how that would help. They find some of these addicts hard enough to handle as it is. The idea of dealing with them without sedation...
The method works, Mrs. Armitage, we know that.
Not always, madam. They did all that they could for that young nephew of mine. And that was in a clinic. This is a prison. And all the other things we have to think of, security and discipline to maintain. I could order my staff to do it if you insist, madam, but they won't be with me or with the scheme. It would have to be voluntary.
Very well, Mrs. Armitage. Thank you for being so frank. I'll bear your views in mind.
Very good, madam.
Anything new. It's like pushing a boulder uphill.
I'm sorry, but she did talk sense. I honestly wish it was the kind of thing we could do at Stone Park.
Come in. Has Dr. Mays told you about our ideas?
Yes, he has. But I don't see, though, how I can manage to combine my routine work with the added duties that the scheme will involve. Well, I'd like to volunteer anyway.
Mary, you are a breath of fresh air.
Well, I've seen girls like Emma Tapsell before, a friend at university. She was brilliant. I was told the other day that she's dying. It can't be right. I've done some group therapy work during my evenings off, and I'd like to help.
Do you think your staff would feel the same way?
Well, it's always difficult to make changes, especially when it means extra duties. But I'll work round the clock if necessary.
I'm very grateful to you, Mary. We'll certainly call on you as soon as we get started.
Thank you. I know you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, she's a great girl, but unrepresentative, I'm afraid. And you heard what even she had to admit about her own staff.
Charles, I don't think I've pulled rank since I took this job, but I'm sure I'm right about this. And if Peter Mays can reassure me that this scheme can be run without staff approval, I'm going to bulldoze it through.
Well, I know how much the scheme means to you, and naturally it means a hell of a lot to me too, but if that's the situation, you better drop it.
I hoped you wouldn't say that.
Above everything else, this kind of therapy needs dedication and enthusiasm.
But Mary Bates has
But Mary's
that.
just a drop in the ocean. We need that sort of eagerness from everyone. Without it, the thing would be a disaster.
I see. Well, that's that then. Doctor, Emma Tapsell. She's slashed her wrists.
We're short-handed. We have to leave a lot of it to the nursing staff. Not that that should be any excuse.
I'm not blaming either of you. I blame myself.
I found this beside her bed, written on her temperature chart.
I'm a sick animal under a hedge. Nobody can't help me. I can't see nothing but black in front of me, and cold, and being alone, and being scared all the time. Thank you for trying with all the drugs and that. They don't work the way you mean. I think I could have loved someone a lot.
How is she?
It's okay, she'll be all right. But we only just got her to the theatre in time. Look, sister, had you any idea that she was as far gone as that?
I have a memo here for all staff. It reads as follows. Today, Emma Tapsell, a young heroin addict, attempted suicide in the prison hospital. We failed her, as we fail all of them. A special drugs unit is to be set up at Stone Park using a new approach for which I have great hopes. It'll be hard and unconventional work on top of your other duties and with no extra pay. Nobody will be directed by me to take part in it, but if you wish to help as a volunteer, please sign your name on the sheet of paper below. Now, I want that pinned up on the staff notice board first thing in the morning. And I want Emma Tapsell's note pinned by the side of it.
It's a gamble. If it fails, you've shut the door.
They're worked off their feet already. Excuse me, ma'am.
Volunteers, please sign the name here. We'd never volunteer, that's what the old man says.
He's right. Here, Peg.
What?
Did you read this?
No. Oh, it's too early in the morning. Come on.
What you doing? What about what your old man said?
He's not flaming infallible, is he?
I really think we're on our way.
Yeah, you have got the staff on your side, and I wouldn't have given you much chance of that. But you've got a long way to go yet, and you haven't got Mrs. Armitage.
I believe this is the one occasion when I don't need Mrs. Armitage.
Come off all support drugs?
Yeah.
You must be joking. What are you trying to do? Save the health service money?
No, like I said, that part of it, the coming off the drugs, that's just to give you confidence.
I'm confident when I've had my trank. That'll do me.
But you've got to learn to stand on your own 2 feet.
Says?
The important part is the talking together, the finding out.
The finding out. Yes, that's it, isn't it? I spy with my little eye.
Oh, come on, Magda, you know better than that. What I'm telling you is that here is something that has worked for other people, and I think it can work for you too.
Well, don't do us any favours. It gives me a funny feeling.
Now, look, get one thing clear. There's nothing in this for me. There's nothing in it for Miss Bates. We've got enough on our plates without bothering with this.
Right then. Well, then you just stick to your plate, Doc, because I don't see myself as a guinea pig. Me neither. You take away my support drugs and I'll scream so loud they'll hear me in Whitehall.
Yeah, we'll leave us so.
Nobody is taking anything away from you. It's got to be your decision.
No chance. Can ask somebody else.
leave us alone?
Emma.
Can we go now?
Yeah. Yeah, sure, of course you can go. Nobody's forcing you to do anything.
Come on, friends.
Well, I'm holding the first session here in a week at 11 o'clock. Anybody who wants to come, just give your name to Mrs. Armitage, right?
Well, don't wait up for us.
A word with you, ladies. Now, as you know, I'm a very reasonable woman. Even-tempered, not given to outbursts of malice or spite. There is one thing that makes me very unreasonable, and that's the sight of someone biting the hand that's trying to help them, snubbing a decent man who can't hit back and wouldn't even know how. That's liable to make me very spiky indeed. And you know, they tell me, when I'm in that mood, that make life impossible. But you see, I'm not like the good doctor. I'm more, well, you might say I'm more like you.
We don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I think you do. And just in case you don't, I want you to come into my office, one at a time, now. And I'll spell it out to you.
Mustn't take it so personally, Faye. You win some, you lose some. I've lost more than I've won.
It's not personal, Charles. Really, it isn't. These women could be helped. It's simple as that. Come in.
Officers for escort duty on Thursday, madam. There are courts in Norwich, Isle of Wight and Oxford. Oh, and here's the list of prisoners who wish to attend the group therapy session tomorrow, madam.
What list? But this is all of them.
Yes, madam. All except Magda Selby.
What persuaded them to change their mind?
Couldn't say, madam.
But this is wonderful news, Mrs. Armitage. Thank you.
It's early days yet. Good night, madam. Mr. Radley.
Good night, Mrs. Armitage.
Good night.
Well, come on, let's have you. Now, look, I've just said that you can talk about anything you like for as long as you like. I mean, what more does any woman want, eh? All right, someone, anyone, tell me, what's the nicest thing that ever happened to you?
I'm glad that you think you've got something to laugh about. Because believe me, I wouldn't be laughing.
I mean, you're all hooked on something that's going to kill you before you're 30.
That's a bloody rotten thing to say.
What a smashing doctor. He's going to do us a lot of good.
But he's right, isn't he? Why do you all pretend? He's right, I know.
You won't even last that long, darling. You'll try and draw attention to yourself once too often.
Yes, and next time you'll hit an artery.
That's not true. I wanted to do
Oh,
it. What's so special about you? Super sensitive little plant, aren't you? You couldn't take it like the rest of us.
What's clever about taking? There's nothing clever about that.
What's up with you is you do think you're special.
Yes. Yes, you do. Tell about that job they gave you. Why'd you leave?
I told you they wouldn't give me no horses.
Oh, rubbish.
Can you
ride? No. Then why the hell should they give you horses? There's such a thing as settling for your own level, you know.
Who do you think you are anyway, and more? Mucking out's all you're fit for.
Mucking out's all I've ever been.
Right, I never had a chance to do nothing else.
Oh, mine was cleaner than that one my sister's.
Your sister what?
Never you, Mum.
Oh, what a shame, then. Are you going to sulk? Governor's little pet's going to punish us by keeping stum.
Go to hell! Shut up! You're all against me. Everyone always is. It's just the same in here. Oh, God, I wish I'd died.
What do we do now?
What do you want to do?
Well, go to her.
Well, it's your group.
Oh, come on, look, we did it. We didn't have any right.
I mean, I should talk. Settling for our own level, we said. I was hairdresser. Private. You know, going to people's beautiful pads to fix their barnets, chatting with them, little drinkies, and home alone to my crappy bedsit. Do you think I could settle for that? Not likely.
Hey, come on. Do you know what I used to do? In coffee bars and places, I used to pretend I couldn't speak English so they'd think I was foreign and mysterious. So one day, this geezer came in there. He was a professor. Well, he tried me out in 48 different languages and finally told me to shove off in pure Cockney. I couldn't better be myself, sir. I need it. I'm going to get Sister Baxter.
You'll have to leave the group.
But I can't sleep.
Then I'll stay awake with you.
Please, just an aspirin.
You know the drill, love.
But my headache, I got a headache.
No, you haven't. It's the other ache you've got.
Please don't be so bloody saintly. You've got it too.
Yes, I have. And tomorrow night, I'll meet you. The nicest thing that ever happened to me. Oh, that's easy. It was when I won the Miss Wallacey contest.
Oh, Olive, you never won no Miss Wallacey contest, not with a face like that.
You cheeky bitch. Who do you think you are?
Oh, Olive, you're a lovely girl and all that, but sorry, dear. Not unless you was competing against me.
Oh, that's nice. Are they allowed to be rude to me?
Well, I don't know of anyone who can stop them, Olive. It's your group.
You jealous hags. You don't know anything about bone structure.
Olive, listen, do you really think you're a knockout?
I never said that.
No, but it's the way you carry on as if you thought you were Raquel Welch. It puts people's backs up. That's why they don't like you.
Oh, that's nice. So I'm not like now, am I?
But other people don't. It's because you pretend you're beautiful.
And what do you know about it, you village idiot? You couldn't even get over your own sister being the pretty one.
That's right. She was always going to parties while I stayed to help at home. What happened to you?
Nothing happened to me. And if you don't knock it off, I'll give you something to remember.
Oh, that's always your answer, isn't it? Lash out. Well, we're here, aren't we? We're your mates.
Yeah.
Lash out at us if you want to. But it don't solve nothing, does it?
How's it going, Peter?
Very well.
When can I sit in?
Well, not for a while, if you don't mind. You see, we're coming up to a pressure point. They seem to go in cycles, and quite honestly, I think your presence would just inhibit them.
There is nothing la-di-da about asking someone to eat in a civilized way. You sound like a pig at the trough. All you've got to do, my dear, is to keep your mouth shut when you chew.
I can't
keep my mouth shut for the simple reason that my loving mother broke my nose when I was 3 years old, and when they reset it, they blocked my sinuses. If I keep my mouth shut, I can't bloody breathe, you stupid stay-up cow! What are you doing? And you keep out of it! And when it comes to being civilised, I don't know what they taught you in that school of yours, but did anyone ever tell you, you smell? You vile little cat, I'm mad! You're everything!
It's being off the stuff, that's what it is. We're all getting twitchy. I know I am. We've got to try that bit harder.
Hark a Mary Poppins here.
Aren't you going to punish us then, Doctor?
Now, why should I punish you? I keep on telling you it's your group. And if you think you ought to be punished, it's up to you to decide on the penalties.
2 days loss of privileges, all round.
I always was squeamish. Actually, that's why my marriage broke up. Little habits you have. I suppose everybody has them. You know, sucking his teeth, scratching his head. They used to disgust me. Jane, look, I'm sorry, Jane. You don't really eat any differently to anyone else. I'm sorry.
Oh, come on. I always was a noisy nosher. I've never been, well, you know, graceful. And you don't, Pong Sunshine.
I do. I have a problem, Jane. Especially when I've been dashing about. I can't get my usual stuff in here.
Yeah, that's another thing. We got no bread to buy anything, have we? We're missing out on the working parties doing this, you know.
We're unemployed.
What about the dole?
Yeah, but... Oh, well, that's it then, isn't it?
Come on now, other people have got to use this room as well, you know. Well, we might start with that tomorrow morning, talking about work, dole, so on. Are these the same girls that sat here 3 weeks ago like dummies? Extraordinary.
Oh, that was before we'd been subjected to your fantastic charm.
Get you?
Oh, that's very good for a quack. But do my hair, will you?
And how are the doctor's little groupies today?
Muddling through, darling. Muddling through.
What? Yes. Oh, Poppy. Mind if I sit down?
Hello, Magda.
It's not as easy as you thought, is it?
I'm all right. We just had a bit of a row.
Of course you did. You're trying to do the impossible. It takes a lifetime to make an addict. The one that led up to that first shot of H. You can't remake a lifetime in a few days of chat.
I'm learning, starting to face myself. That's what it's all about.
You're learning, all right. Look at you.
I can deal with it.
And when you've learned to face yourself, what then? What will you be facing? You didn't like what you saw the first time. That's why you ran to my heroine.
I'll talk it out. We'll talk it out together.
Talk's no substitute for these, love. Want one?
Could you get those?
Half my daily tramps. I saved them for you. They're what you need for the shakes.
Shake.
No. Thank you, Magda. I can't do that.
It's Magda Selby, madam. A request to see the governor.
She hasn't made an application.
It is rather a special request, madam.
Oh, very well, Mrs. Armitage.
I'd like to join the therapy group.
No.
No. No. No.
Well, as I've said all along, it's entirely your decision. All I'm asking you is to be sure that you're making the decision for the right reasons.
And what does that mean?
Well, you might be wanting to punish Magda for sneering at you.
That's true.
Well, it would be natural, but it would be wrong.
Yeah, but look, she's done nothing but laugh at us since we started,
Yeah,
so
that's
why
right.
should we let her in now?
Well, perhaps because she needs help like the rest of us.
Well, let her come and ask for it herself, then.
No, but that would humiliate her. It wouldn't be a very good beginning, would it? I mean, it's already a big enough blow to her pride that her fate's in your hands anyway.
She's last, that's
Listen,
one.
Doctor, I know that lady. She's never needed help in her life from anyone.
Emma.
I know we seem hard, Dr. Mays, but Well, I got a feeling that Magda doesn't want to be cured. She just wants to join us so as to smash us all up.
Emma's right. It can't be right that an inmate can be excluded by other inmates from a service provided by the prison.
Oh, but that's the point. It works precisely because it isn't provided by the prison. All we provide are the facilities. The actual therapy is done by the girls themselves.
Well, I know that's the philosophy.
Look, Governor, it's a very delicate structure. Once the heavy institutional hand came down with orders and directives, you could kiss goodbye to the whole thing.
Well, we can't desert Magda Selby. That would be monstrous.
There may be a way.
How?
Emma Tapsell, she's emerged as something of a leader in the group.
Yes, I know, you told me.
Well, she's basically a sound-thinking girl. And she's very fond of you.
I don't know whether you appreciate what a unique situation this is. A governor in her own prison asking an inmate to do her a favour.
I wish you wasn't, Mrs. Boswell. You've been ever so good to me, ever since I first come here. But that Magda...
All I'm asking is that the group give her a chance.
But you don't know her, Mrs. Boswell. She'd be a real bad influence. She'd smash us up. That's all she wants.
Are you sure that's all she wants?
Anyway, it's not just my say-so.
Dr. Mays tells me that the group listens to you. You're a leader. People with that quality have got responsibilities.
But if I persuade them and it all goes wrong...
Then you have to take the strain. That's what responsibility means.
I'm not saying that she's all bad. And I'm not saying that she's willful bad. It's just that, well, she has a way of thinking that she believes in. A bad way. And she's so sure of herself. That's what makes her so dangerous.
Do you remember what you said in your note, Emma? About being alone and being frightened all the time? Isn't it possible that that's what she feels too?
It wasn't fair, Mrs. Boswell.
No, I know it wasn't. That's how badly I want you to help me.
Morning, ladies. No sign of Magda?
No.
No, not. Oh, maybe she's chickened out.
No. We'll give her a minute or two, will we?
Bet she don't turn up.
Oh, there you are, Magda. Find your way all right.
I'm sorry I'm late. It was such a lovely day, I thought I'd walk.
Much traffic about, is it?
Right then, Magda, as you're sort of new girl, are there any questions you'd like to ask us before we start?
Yeah. How long does the treatment take?
Well, 3 months, 6 months. Sometimes longer. It depends.
Oh. Betty here gets out in 6 weeks. So does Kate. What happens if we go out before the treatment's finished?
Yeah. Well, there are groups outside. You can always join one of those.
Oh, I didn't know if But we'll have a living to earn. I mean, we can't spend every day at therapy.
Oh, yes, they appreciate that. A lot of them are held in the evenings.
Evenings? That means we'll be tied up every evening.
Does that mean we might not be cured when we get out of here?
Well, look at it this way. You'll be well on the way to a cure, and you'll find plenty of support outside to help you to finish it.
Are you sure about that?
Well, yes, if you feel it'll help, you can always telephone us here.
Oh, Christ, that's all I need.
I must say, it doesn't leave much room for a social life, does it?
Ian, what about a boyfriend? When are we supposed to see him?
It's
going to be as bad as being in the
God, what sort of social life did you have before you come down here? Down the dilly every night, looking for a fix. That was your social life. And Jane, who was your boyfriend? Anyone you could score off?
I suppose that's fair.
Look, don't you see, we're only beginning to think about normal things like boyfriends and social life because the therapy's made us so much better.
It's funny that, you know. You're absolutely right. This morning, I thought about going ice skating. Now I haven't thought about that for years.
Oh, bravo, Emma. You've really got them under your thumb, haven't you? One word from you and they jump through your hoop like performing poodles.
Rubbish. We usually listen to Emma because she generally talks sense.
Of course she does. Governor's sense. She's been taught how.
Oh, and what does that mean?
She always was a Boswell Blue-Eye. With her for half an hour yesterday. Oh, yes. Didn't you know? No. Tea and biscuits, they tell me. Very cosy. What was it, Emma? A refresher course in the party line? How to go on conning us all? You're just a governor's narc, sweetheart, and the rest of you fell for it.
You ungrateful bitch! The governor had Emma in for your sake! She asked her to persuade us to let you in. If it weren't for Emma, you damn well wouldn't be here.
I was beginning to think we were wrong about you, but we weren't. You came here to screw us, didn't you?
I'm not interested in screwing you. You're pathetic.
Thank you. It's not us, is it? It's Dr. Mays here, or the governor, or the...
Or your father, or your husband. 2 brutal men that you associate with authority.
Spare me the night school psychiatry. I don't blame anyone else for what I am.
No, I don't think you can.
I once read somewhere that nothing happens twice by accident.
Meaning what?
Meaning that one sadist in a girl's life might be a bad luck, Magda. Two looks a bit suspicious, huh?
Oh, I see. So on the one hand, I enjoy being beaten to a jelly, do I?
Yeah,
and on the other, what do? I get my revenge by destroying authority.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because you're a mess. A poisonous, mixed-up mess. You like men. You hate men. You want to destroy them. You want them to destroy you.
You probably hate yourself even more than you hate everything else. That's why you shoot H.
And I don't blame you. You're a pretty hateful person.
Yeah, pretty hateful.
So that's it, is it? That's the therapy. That's the magic medicine that's going to make us all
works.
well.
It works.
Well, I'm glad to have seen it, but I don't think I'd like to take part.
Well, then
in it. So
push
thank you
on.
very much.
You bitches. Don't go where you guys go.
Well, I don't have to tell you what remarkable progress you've made, Magda. Do you still miss the support drugs?
From time to time.
Yeah. Well, you will. It takes a while.
So they tell me.
Now, what I wanted to see you about. See, I think it's time you started to relate to the outside world again.
In what way?
Well, your family. You haven't written or had a visit since you've been, have you?
I'm divorcing my husband, and I don't want to see my father.
Well, there's your mother and your sister.
I didn't want them to see me the way I was.
Well, things are different now, aren't they? See, I think I know how you feel. You've achieved a balance, and you don't want to upset it, right?
Something like that.
Well, you're going to have to test the water sometime, and I think that a visit might be the most painless way.
Okay, I'll write.
Good.
Oh, you couldn't lend an out-of-work girl a stamp, could you?
Don't tell Mrs. Armitage.
You're a brick, Doc.
Peter, there you are. This concerns you. Letter from Sir Charles. Heard about your interesting experiment. Note the carefully chosen word, experiment. In view of my lifelong interest, would like to see it in action, etc., etc.
Oh, that's simple. He can't. Only it's taken us all this time to get the group to allow you to sit in just once.
Peter, he is chairman of the Board of Visitors.
You just have to talk to the girls, explain the man's power.
He could close you down.
Yeah. Why can't he stick to plucking his Harley Street pigeons? Now, today's the day, so we hold the session completely normally.
Right.
Now, at some point, he'll slip in quite unobtrusively.
And so did you.
Now, he'll slip in quite unobtrusively, so just go on as if he wasn't there.
A bit difficult.
Hello, Magda. I'm just going through the drill for Sir Charles's visit.
Well, don't bother, because I won't be there.
Why?
Because it's all a great con, that's why. Like I always said, we're not really getting any better.
Yes, we are.
I just had my eyes open, that's all. We frig about in here, bearing our souls to each other like old guys around a campfire, while out there's the great big world with its jaws open, just waiting for us to get out. Yesterday? I was kidding myself yesterday. When we get out of here, we're going to have the same problems that we came in with. Nothing's changed. We need to wake up to it.
All right, let's talk it out. Come on, let's talk it out.
Talk it out. Hell, I want some Librium. No, that's up to the group. It's there to stuff the group. I'm out of the group. Anyway, after this morning, there won't be a group.
What do you mean?
I know that old Burke, he's a right bastard. But at least he'll put a stop to this fairy tale. Now, do I get my Librium or do I start to scream?
No,
don't give it to her. I get it.
Tell Sister Baxter I authorize.
Oh, chicken dashes.
No, all right, the rest of you. The officers will take you down. I'll be down in a minute. Now, come on.
What's the point?
I was trying to tell you, she had a letter this morning. The father has beaten up the mother and sister again. They don't want to visit until they look presentable. I wish I had 5 minutes alone with that man.
Olive, there is no sense in going over old ground. Now drink your tea and let's take up from yesterday.
The tea's cold.
Now, look. Magda had some bad news from home. That's why she behaved the way she did.
We could all have had bad news from home. Anyway, I thought you'd made us strong enough to cope with that sort of thing. You obviously haven't.
No, I haven't done anything. You've done it all yourself. And yes, I do believe that you are strong enough.
But Magda was stronger than any of us, and look what's happened to her.
She wasn't, Jane.
Oh, shut
Anyway,
up.
she wasn't with us for very long. She only seems strong. She isn't
Oh,
really.
God,
That's part of
here
our
comes
problem.
little mother putting us all right again. Who do you think you are, darling Tainers? What's what anyway? It was only 6 weeks ago you was trying to do yourself.
That's a beastly thing to say. She's only trying to help
But
you.
we don't want her help and we don't need
You
it.
needed her help 2 weeks ago when you were dribbling on about your deprived childhood. She straightened you out then, Jane.
What do you know about a deprived childhood? You've never had your fat bottom in nothing but silk all your life.
I wasn't talking about me, you fool. I was talking about Emma.
Yes, of course you were. You'd talk about Emma all day long if you could, wouldn't you? Don't think we haven't noticed the way you look at her. You probably had a little darling like her at school too, didn't you? Well, why don't you ask to move in with her? Then you could be really cosy. Come on then, get it right to
We ruined it. You shook us all up. We had one of our blow-ups, the biggest ever. I bet he'll cancel it. And it was good. It was our only chance.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Boswell. Truly sorry. But I can only do my duty as I see it.
Come in.
Excuse me, madam. It's Magda Selby, an urgent request to see the governor.
Oh, not now, Mrs. Armitage.
I think you should see her, madam.
Oh, very well. Sir Charles was just leaving.
No, if you don't mind, I think I'd like to stay. I know Selby. Worst kind of recidivist addict. I noticed she wasn't part of your experiment.
She was.
Shall I show her in, madam?
Yes. Yes, all right, Mrs. Armitage.
Thank you for seeing me, Governor. I hope I'm not being a bore.
Not at all, Magda. What can I do for you?
Well, before I made a mess of things, if I can put it that way, I was chief fashion buyer for a large group of stores.
Yes, I know.
Well, when I'm released, I mean to start again. I know it'll be hard, but I think I can make a comeback.
I'm sure you can.
Well, the trouble is, I've rather lost touch with developments. It's a fast-moving business, as you know. Would it be possible for me to have the trade papers and magazines sent here?
Well, I'll see what I can do.
That would be very kind of you, Governor. There'd be a tremendous help. Thank you. Sir Charles, I'm afraid I must have been an awful nuisance to you in the past. I do apologise.
Have you been taking part in this experiment?
Experiment? Oh, you mean the group therapy? Oh, yes, indeed. I don't know what I'd do without it now. I've never been more wrong about anything in my entire life.
How wrong?
Well, it sometimes gets rather violent, and I thought that was bad at first. But then I realised that it was healthy. You see, part of an addict's problem is that she turns her violence in on herself. Letting it out harmlessly is a great release. But here's me telling you, one of the most distinguished authorities in Europe.
Well, we can all learn, you know.
It's a wonderful technique, Sir Charles, and we're all very grateful. Thank you. Thank you, madam.
Spades, spades.
We'll have another patron.